Hola clase, hoy vamos a hacer repaso de los verbos. So nothing too exciting going on today. Verb review is never very exciting and there's not much I can do about that, but it is a really important part of learning the language. So I just wanted to go over the very básicos con ustedes, the very basics with you. We're just going to touch on a couple of things today and we'll progress throughout the semester. So first what we're going to do is Spanish has three types of infinitives. Those that end in AR, ER, or IR, which are commonly referred to as AR, ER, and IR verbs respectively. So remember, an infinitive is a verb that is unchanged. So that is before you conjugate it. And so the great part is if it starts with yo, it ends in O. So that doesn't matter if it's an AR verb, an ER verb, or an IR verb. AR verbs have a slightly different ending. O, as, a, amos, ais, an. ER verbs are exactly the same, except in the nosotros, vosotros form. So that's really helpful as well. So remember, it's important to put the correct ending onto your verbs because you wouldn't want to say, yo habla español. I is speaking Spanish. You want to say, I speak Spanish or I am speaking Spanish. And so having the correct ending helps to make it grammatically correct. Vámonos. So just to remember, I went over what an infinitive was. So here's our infinitive, hablar. It ends in AR. The stem would be HABL. So the first thing you do is just like math, you subtract the AR, the ER, or the IR. And then whatever the subject pronoun happens to be, for in this instance, it's yo. If it starts with yo, it ends with O. So you would add that ending to the end of the stem. And then you would have yo hablo. So it's a little bit similar to doing math. So here you guys have on your chart the same verbs. Hablar, comer, vivir. If it starts with yo, it ends in O. Hablo, como, vivo. Again, we dropped the AR off, the ER off, and the IR, and then we added the appropriate endings. Hablas, habla, hablamos, habláis, hablan. Como, comes, come, comemos, comáis, comen. And I'm missing my accent mark on my ER and IR, just to let you know. Happy to make mistakes in front of you. Vivo, vives, vive, vivimos, vivis, viven. Hablar means to speak. Comer means to eat, and vivir means to live. Hopefully this is just very simple review, especially if you haven't had Spanish in a while. I mean, you need just some recall. So our next verbos, ser and estar, they both mean to be, so this can be a little bit confusing. And they're both irregular. Thankfully, a star is only irregular in the yo form, and then it's conjugated like a regular AR verb. But ser is irregular all over the place. So it's just really good to memorize this verb, and it's one that's used often. Actually, both ser and a star are, and I'll go over quickly when you use each of these as well. Tú eres, tú estás. Él, ella, usted es, está. Nosotros somos. Estamos, vosotros sois, estáis, ellos, ellas, ustedes son, están. So again, they both mean to be. Ser is completely irregular. Estar is irregular in the yo form and then conjugated like a regular AR verb. No olvide el acento. Don't forget the accent. Remember, accent marks are part of the spelling. And if you forget the accent mark, for example, on está, it becomes esta, which means this. So está and esta are two different things. I know it's really hard to hear the difference in that. So when do you use ser and when do you use a star? A quick review. These are just acronyms. So doctor is the first acronym we'll use for ser. You use it with la fecha, con trabajo, características, la hora, orígenes, y relaciones. So date, occupation, characteristic, time, origin, relation. La fecha es el 5 de mayo. Yo soy profesora. Soy alta, divertida, interesante. Son las 5. Yo soy de los Estados Unidos. Yo soy la mamá de Arturo. So there you have ser, and here we have a star. The acronym I use is place, position, location, action, condition, emotion. Yo estoy en la clase. I am in class. Again, position, location, or position like Mi mochila está en la mesa. My backpack is on the table. Location, estoy en mi oficina. Action, estoy comiendo mi almuerzo. I am eating my lunch. So remember, with a star, you use present progressive. Condition, ¿cómo está usted? I ask this question often, and that can go with emotion. Estoy enferma. Estoy estresada. I'm stressed. I'm sick. What is your condition? How do you feel? What are your emotions? So with a star, those are things that are often changing. It just takes a lot of practice to get it down pat. And remember, if you make a mistake with a Spanish speaker, more than likely they are just delighted that you're even making the effort. So just have some courage and make mistakes. That's the best way to learn. So, just to remind you, this is just a quick version of the present progressive that I was talking about that you use with a star. And I love this form because it's really simple. You have hablando, comiendo, and escribiendo. So when you drop off the stem, you add the version of English ing. So hablando becomes speaking, comiendo is eating, escribiendo is writing. And the great thing about the present progressive, it's just the estar that changes. So no matter what form, it's estoy estudiando, estás estudiando, está estudiando. And so your second verb stays the same. And the same with your IR, ER verbs as well. So it's comiendo for each of them, and a star is the one that changes. So hopefully this is a refresher. If I'm going too fast, please contact me. I'm happy to send you some more slower lessons, but hopefully this is just a really good review for you. And then when you go to practice, it'll be a little bit better. Some irregulars with your present progressive. Pedir, the E changes to I, pidiendo, decir, diciendo, servir, sirviendo, dormir, durmiendo, traer, trayendo, and leer, leyendo. So your head's spinning. We haven't even gotten into the stem changers yet, and then what happens in the preterite and the imperfect. So remember, just what you focus on, you can manifest. So it's just constant practice and willingness to put yourself out there to make those mistakes, because it is confusing. There's a lot to remember when you're learning a foreign language. So our next verb is ir, which you might be familiar with, to go. Voy, vas, va, vamos, vais, van. And so this is something that you use also with the simple future. So voy, so you can say, use it to use for where you're going. Voy a mi casa después de trabajo. I'm going to my house after work. Voy a comer la pizza para la cena. I am going to eat pizza for dinner. So I'm talking in the simple future. So this is a great way to tell people what you're going to be doing. Voy a practicar mi español. I'm going to practice my Spanish. So here you have ir. The next are some irregulars as well that we didn't get a lot of practice with before. So hacer, poner, and oír are known as go verbs. So hacer is hago, haces, hace, hacemos, hacéis, hacen. The great thing about these three verbs, they are irregular in the yo form, but then they conjugate like regular er verbs as you move along. So hago, pongo, oigo, and then they conjugate like regular er, ir verbs. Hacer is to do or to make. Poner is to put. And oír is to hear. So I think right now this is a good start because we have some irregular verbs in here. We have the present progressive, and we also have just your basic AR, ER, IR verbs. So hopefully this will help you with your repaso. Si tengan preguntas, mándame un email, send me an email. Estoy contenta a ayudar ustedes. I am happy to help you. Okay, so que tengan buen día y nosotros vemos pronto. Chao.